Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's namayoheritage. Today's focus is on how one can buy land in Zambia. So if you're in diaspora, if you're in Zambia, this video is for you because it will give you a guidance on how, where, and what type of land you should look at and the procedure you should take. So there are two types of land, or I would call them categories, somebody should consider in buying. The first category is titled land, which other people call state land, meaning it's owned by the government and it's titled land. The other category is customary land that other people call traditional land. Both types of land are okay. The only issue here is there are scammers out there, and that fact you should know. Even when this land is on title, it doesn't guarantee that this is legit, because I'm talking from experience. There are other properties where some people would dubiously obtain a title, and then that is how confusions may arise. But then it's also safer to buy titled land because you have a chance to check through the Ministry of Lands as the first procedure one should take. If somebody tells you to say this land is on title, the first step one person should consider is to go to Ministry of Lands, get a demand notice. It's a document that you get from customer service, which is called a demand notice. Once you get your demand notice, over that title a number, it will show you if the title is clean, it has got no incumbency of whatsoever, and there are no encroachments. It will tell you the status, and if it's the title is still valid, because titles there are some titles that were on 14-year lease, and there are titles that were on 99-year lease. So it will show all that information. Once that information is verified, and it also show who really the title holder is, as in the name, it will show. Then you go to the person or the company that is saying they have all those documents. You compare with what you have found at the ministry, as well as you compare what you find at that office or with that particular person who is trying to sell you that piece of land. So once you get your demand notice from Ministry of Lands, you now proceed, and that's if you have confirmed that it has got no incumbency and everything else is okay. You will now proceed to go for viewing. You schedule for viewing, go and see on the ground, because it's very important to see where the land is located, where to see looking at the neighborhood, the road network, and if you are to move in, as in wanting to start developing that same piece of land, you also take into consideration if there is power nearby, and maybe you want to use the solar energy. So those are the things when you go on the ground that you should consider. But then this will be another topic for another day, and today we're just discussing on how you can buy land in Zambia. And we have just discussed the first step of you going to the Ministry of Lands, getting a demand notice, going for viewing as the second step. From after you have viewed, check if that person can be able to draft a formal offer letter and a contract of sale once the transaction has been finalized, and then that's when you can release the money. If it's the company, make sure you deposit the money was transacted into, and the procedures who withdrew the money after it was deposited in that account of a person or a company. So now let's move into looking at how one can get land, traditional land in Zambia, which other people call customary land. Customary land is very tricky because there is no land that is owned by one person. Get it right? There is no traditional land that is owned by one person. It doesn't work like that. Every traditional land that one wants to offer you belongs to a village, and the village who's headed by the headman or woman, and the head woman or man is headed by the chief or the chieftainess. So as you are wanting to buy a traditional land, the first thing you should ask is the head woman or man aware of this sale? If the person selling you says that the head woman or man is aware of this transaction, make sure you meet up with the authority. The local authority in this case is the head woman or man. Once the head woman confirms or man confirms that this land, yes, we have authorized a sale, or we have authorized this person to help himself, that's when now you can proceed to go on the site. You go and see the land, you go and see the demarcations. But mind you, when doing the demarcations of a traditional land, make sure that the neighbors for both sides, east, west, south, and north, they are there, because the boundaries are not defined yet, and the only people that can help you define the boundaries are the neighbors on all the four sides. So it's important to consider involving the neighbors on all the four sides so that you are safe as you are buying that piece of land. And then from site visiting, the demarcations are done, you now involve a qualified surveyor who has a zip number. And then that zip number, it is an assurance that he's going to do a job, because there's no surveyor who would do a dubious job and risk his or her zip number, the practicing certificate. So it's important that the qualified surveyor surveys the land, then gives you a document called a survey diagram or a diagram. That diagram will have a map and showing your demarcations, which should be taken to the local authority, in this case the headman or woman, who will proceed to taking it to the chief or the chieftainess. Once the chieftainess endorses on that diagram, then now the title possession of that land has begun. And then make sure that when you're going in these communities, you're going there to address one or two needs that community may be lacking. So it's important to address even one. You just do this, or maybe provide employment to the unemployed people in that community. It's very, very important if you want to merge in that community without any problems. So today we have talked about how one person can buy land which is titled, where the person gets a demand notice. After demand notice is gotten, they go for viewing session. The viewing session, then the person or the company in charge of the sale is drafts or able to give a letter offer or a contract of sale. And then once that is done, the money is deposited into the company account or the person who's selling that titled land. And then that's when now you begin to develop that property, whilst you start proceeding in terms of processing your individual title, or maybe it's a subdivision, or it's just a matter of transferring ownership from the person who has bought to you, the buyer. And then we have also talked about how one can buy land from a traditional perspective, where the land is owned by traditional leaders, and then it's important that the traditional leaders are involved as you are buying that piece of land. And then you involve a qualified surveyor who's going to advise you on where the beacons or where the demarcations of that land is. And then the land is the papers for that land are taken to the chief, where the chief will do his or her duty by endorsing that the diagrams and your papers, and the welcoming you into the chiefdom. And if you want to proceed for titling to title that land, that's where now everything else begins from. This teaching, it's based on my experience, it's based on my personal opinions and what I have come to understand in selling of land, because I personally do sell land, and these are the recommended procedures that we follow from time to time. So in our next video, we are going to talk about how to title a piece of land if it's not titled, and then we'll also combine it with how one can convert titled land, or how one can transfer the ownership of the titled land from the seller to the buyer. Till next time, guys, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bar, so that each time I upload a video, you will be notified that a video has been posted and you can't miss it. Thank you.